Okay, picture this. It's the year 1868. A team of archaeologists in France is digging around, and they unearth something that literally rewrites the rulebook on our ancestors. They found a human skeleton, right? But not just any skeleton. This one was a staggering 30,000 years old. Now, finding ancient bones is cool and all, but it wasn't the age that had scientists completely mind-blown. It was the incredible story the bones themselves were telling. So researchers are looking at this 30,000-year-old man, and the sheer robust nature of his physique is just off the charts. He stood about 5 foot 10 inches tall, which was actually really impressive for back then. But the crazy part? His bones were exceptionally dense, and the attachment points for his muscles were absolutely massive. The architecture of his skeleton proved this guy possessed a level of raw, physical power that you almost never see in the modern world. He was built for extreme physical endurance. Let me put it this way. If a guy built exactly like this ancient hunter walked past you on the street today, you'd definitely notice. You'd probably think, whoa, that guy is unusually strong. He wouldn't just look fit, he'd look like an elite powerlifter or a competitive athlete. But here's the kicker. For our ancient ancestor, this wasn't the result of a crazy gym routine. That intense physique was just the absolute baseline requirement to stay alive in his world. Which brings us to a massive question. And really, the core mystery we're diving into today. So, what happened? Honestly, if our ancestors walking the Earth 30,000 years ago had these incredibly dense bones and massive muscles, where on Earth did all that raw physical power go? Seriously, why did ancient humans appear so much stronger than the average person today? And more importantly, did we actually become weaker? Did humanity somehow permanently lose a piece of its physical potential as we evolved into modern society? I mean, it is so easy to look at our comfortable, technology-driven lives today and just assume that we've gone soft over the millennia. Now, your first instinct is probably to say, well, obviously life was just way harder back then. And sure, you had to hunt your own food and constantly fight for survival, so naturally you'd be stronger. But as we dig into the data, the real story here is far more surprising. It's a whole lot more complex than just hard times make strong humans. The truth involves a massive turning point in history that literally rewired our biology. Section 1. The agricultural body shift. All right, rewind about 10,000 years. Humans do something that changes literally everything. We invent farming. We stop constantly chasing our food, and we start growing it in one place. This single invention transformed civilization forever, but it also physically changed the human body. When we look at ancient skeletons, comprehensive studies show that many early farming populations actually became shorter on average than the hunter-gatherers who came right before them. Their bone density dropped. Civilization was taking this massive leap forward, but physically, humanity seemed to be shrinking. So why did this happen? Look, it wasn't because eating wheat was somehow inherently bad for them. It was a crazy perfect storm of environmental changes. Early agriculture relied heavily on just a few staple crops, meaning their dietary diversity completely tanked. They got calories, sure, but fewer varied nutrients. Then you've got growing populations living super close together, which means new infectious diseases began to spread like wildfire. Couple that with the grueling, repetitive physical labor of farming, and these drastic changes severely impacted human health and development. Section 2. A Tale of Two Lifestyles. To really wrap our heads around this, we have to compare how these two distinct groups actually lived day to day. It is a classic case of biology responding to behavior. On one hand, hunter-gatherers ate a huge, wide variety of wild plants and animals. And crucially, their daily movement, running, climbing, hunting, put a massive amount of varied mechanical stress on their bones. On the other hand, early farmers relied on a few staple crops and did the exact same repetitive physical labor every single day, like grinding grain or tending fields. So here's the huge takeaway. Having stronger, denser bones didn't mean the hunter-gatherers were genetically better or superior. They simply adapted to a completely different lifestyle. The human body is amazingly efficient. It builds thick, heavy bones when survival demands it, but it stops wasting energy maintaining them when that daily physical stress changes. Our bodies were just perfectly reacting to the new agricultural world we created. Section 3. The modern resurgence. But hey, the story definitely does not end in those ancient farming fields. Over the last 2 centuries, this long, downward physical trend suddenly reversed course. We hit a boom of modern advancements. Human nutrition skyrocketed as global trade brought diverse foods back to our diets. Childhood diseases plummeted. We saw the advent of advanced sanitation, clean drinking water, and widely available healthcare. Basically, the harsh environmental constraints that kept those early farmers small were suddenly lifted. And man, the biological response was immediate. Thanks to these modern advancements, average human height increased dramatically in so many parts of the world. In just a few generations, populations shot up in height, lived longer, and developed a much stronger baseline of health. We bounced right back.
Section 4. Evolution as Adaptation.
So how does the science of this actually work? Do we suddenly mutate some brand new tall and strong genes? Actually, no. Genetic studies show that this modern physical change wasn't driven by new genes entering our DNA at all. Instead, it was just our existing genes responding to a changing environment. That same genetic blueprint from our 30,000-year-old ancestors was largely still inside us the whole time. But for thousands of years, poor nutrition and disease meant those genes couldn't fully express themselves. Once the environment got better, our genes responded. So, to answer our core mystery directly, humans didn't become permanently weaker. We didn't lose our biological potential, and we certainly weren't broken by civilization. We were literally just in a holding pattern, adapting to a bottleneck of limited nutrition and disease that lasted for millennia. Let's look at the timeline of all this to really put it into perspective. 30,000 years ago, our bodies were robust so we could survive the harsh realities of hunting and gathering. Then, 10,000 years ago, the agricultural shift happens, and we trade physical size for the stability of farming. Finally, over the last 200 years, as we engineered a healthier world, those robust physical traits started making a major comeback. Our bodies simply adapted to the world we created at every single step of the journey. I want to leave you with this thought. The greatest invention in history, agriculture, the very foundation of all human civilization, didn't make humanity worse. It is so tempting to romanticize the past, to think that modern comforts ruined our ancient, powerful biology. But the data tells a story of absolutely incredible resilience. Ultimately, agriculture didn't degrade us. It merely changed the path we took to become who we are today. It was a trade-off that allowed our minds, our cultures, and our technology to flourish. And now, thanks to that very technology, we're providing our ancient genes with the optimal environment they've been waiting for. So the next time you think about human evolution, it really makes you wonder, what kind of environment are we creating for our bodies to adapt to next?